Hello and welcome to Off Chain. My name is Jimmy Song, and today is November 13th, 2017. I wasn't originally planning to have this, but as it stands, there's a lot of stuff going on with respect to Bitcoin Cash, and we are about to have a hard fork in Bitcoin Cash in one more block. I wanted to make sure that, I was covering this. I didn't originally plan to, but I am because it's kind of fun, right? I want to see if it forks and what happens to the price and all things like that. So anyway, let's show you what the current situation is. I am going to share a screen with you. Here is CoinDance. Bitcoin Cash network upgrade will go live as soon as one more block has been mined. And let's take a look. There's a bunch of blocks that have been found in the last hour. You can see the 5 here. You have BTC.top that started it. And you can see in general, just like over the last 12 hours, there just haven't been that many blocks found. And this is because it's 154% or 155% more profitable to mine on the original chain. Probably a lot more given how high the fees are right now. And it's been that way for over a day. It's there's just not been that many blocks found. That's kind of what's going on. Anyway, as a result, and this is sort of what would you call it? A consequence of the emergency difficulty adjustment stuff that they've done in Bitcoin Cash, which puts a downward, makes it easier to mine if less than 6 blocks have been found in 12 hours, something like that. So you end up with really fast blocks for a long time, and then, or I don't know, a couple days or whatever, and then you get like a slowdown like you're getting right now. And so they've changed the emergency difficulty adjustment to be a little bit different. It does. I haven't completely examined the code, but you can take a look here. This is the D601 implementation. This is the actual code here, and we can. I don't know. I didn't examine all of this. I did notice a few things about how they. About this code diff. For example, it says copyright 2017, the Bitcoin developers. They really, and right above it is the Bitcoin core developers. It's not Bitcoin Cash, it's just the Bitcoin developers. So I guess that's how they see themselves, as the true Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is the true Bitcoin or something like that. Anyway, kind of funny. But anyway, here's the actual code diff. There's a new function in C++ called compute target. There's something called get suitable block. There's something called get next cache work required. There's some comments there, and then there's something called get block proof, and then there's some boost unit tests written here. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff here. There's something called get suitable block, which somehow it's like 20 lines of code to find like the middle one. This is why I like Python better. But yeah, here's get next cache work required. They got a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, it's something like average over the last 144 blocks or something. I don't know. I haven't really examined the code. I'd have to like trace through it and find out like what NPOW target spacing is in order to really examine this well. But the code is right there, and they commented on it up here. There's some Dedelnix, he's the guy that coded this thing, and that's the one that they ended up going with. They claim to have tested 3 different POW implementations, and that's what happened there. All right, so I want to show you the current mempool stats on Bitcoin. It started going up again. I'm not sure exactly why, because most of the hashing rate is actually on Bitcoin. But over the last few hours, it started going up. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Look at the fees over the last 2 weeks. I mean, it looks like a giant mountain here. So, I mean, miners are making out really well by mining on Bitcoin as a result of this. And, you know, the CoinDance profitability calculator only really calculates the mining reward and not these like juicy fees. All right, so let's see if no, still no, nothing yet. I want to, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's going on. That's the situation right now. Just wanted to thank the 300 or so live viewers. I'm kind of, this is again a new record, so I'm very happy about that. Let's see if there are any questions. I gotta go to my YouTube account because I didn't open a live chat window. Let me see here. Yeah, there it is. And I have to press pause. And there it is. All right, so let's see if there are any questions here. Hey, Jimmy. Off-chain. Let's see, SegWit1x already forked. We 72,000 transactions in the Bitcoin. Yeah. Let's see, where do you get the code? The code is actually in, I think it's bitcoinabc.org. You can. They have a bunch of reviews up there, and I think they make their code reviews public. Not sure why they're not doing it on GitHub, because you can see it just as much there. Let's see, Python for the win. Jimmy, is there anything in there about increased block reward? As far as I know, there's no increased block reward as a result of this hard fork. Did only I see how their description of the implementation of the test was backwards, like when flash blocks then increased diff, or was I mixing something up? I haven't looked at this code thoroughly, and there's some constants that I have to go look up. But as far as I can tell, you know, basically the time span that it took for like the last 144 blocks, which is roughly like a day or something like that. They make the next difficulty like the average of the last day, but then it can only go up or down by 2x or 50%, or by 2x maximum. So anyway, that's what it looks like right now. Let's see if there are other things. There's a bunch of. All right, so we should probably take a look at BCH price and see what it's doing, and see if we can well, I mean, if Tone was here, then I would have him do it. But anyway, let's just take a look. It's always kind of fun. Yeah, so there was like a dip. It started to rise in the last I don't know, like 6 hours or something, 8 hours or so. It seemed to have bottomed out a little bit here, and it's going back up. Like I said, the big blow off was you know, half a Bitcoin or something, which is insane. If you manage to sell at half of the Bitcoin, congratulations, you did super well. But yeah, price started to go up again. I think maybe in anticipation of a hard fork. I don't know. It's possible people are thinking that they are going to get new Bitcoin Cash Classic coins or whatever a hard fork thing is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go live on air is, are we going to see, you know, another chain of Bitcoin Cash as a result of this? We're still waiting for that one block, so we're still doing that. And you know, we got. Let's see if I can figure out some sort of indicator here. Let's see, TD indicator would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've had 7. It's like on a 7, something like that. Anyway, let's see. Tone might be joining us. I'm telling him to come on. Well, actually, he doesn't have a mic. Oh, that's bad. All right, I did start Tone. Let's see. We are at 415 viewers. Wow! Thank you guys all for joining us. I'm obviously very flattered that you would be joining me to do this. Yeah. All right. So Tone does have a laptop mic, so come on anyway. yeah, this is obviously going. I'm kind of at a loss to as to. Oh, he does have his gear back. Okay, so he'll come on soon. All right, so we're sort of still waiting on exactly when Bitcoin Cash will hard fork. I will point out that that I had this one tweet with. Let's see if I can get a link to that tweet. I saw this kind of ridiculous email. I'm on Ramit's email list, and I saw this kind of ridiculous email. Let me try to show you, and I want to call him out publicly because I mean you can't really say stuff like that and get away with it, I think. But here's his email. Let me just read it to you because it's probably small on the screen. Hey, Jimmy, when it comes to investing, people have always been stupid. They'll chase whatever shiny objects some talking head throws up in front of them. Real estate, Forex, gold, and now Bitcoin. If you don't know what Bitcoin is, I envy you. It's made up money that only exists on the internet that some brilliant marketer convinced a lot of people was worth more, was more valuable than gold. But here's the thing, long-term, these strategies always lose to boring automated investing. In fact, I just wrote a post about the 3 boring investing recipes guaranteed to beat Bitcoin over the long haul. So of course I challenged him. Hey, Ramit, how would you like to put some money where your mouth is? I'll bet $10,000 that Bitcoin does better than your investments. I would love to make this bet, and I will make this bet over any time horizon he wants. If he wants it over 10 years, 20 years, whatever, I know I'm going to win. Whatever long-term means, I'm sure I'm sure that's Bitcoin's going to beat it. And I imagine if he wants to do more than 10,000, I'll be glad to consider all the way up to, you know, whatever, I don't know, 50,000. I'll say 50,000. And I am sure that I can find people that will gladly bet with you, Ramit, for way over than that. So, so yeah, here's my challenge, right? Ramit, bet me. Put some you know, oomph behind your words, or else you're just talking trash about something you know nothing about. So I'd like for you to respond. I don't know. I'm sure his Twitter is blowing up because there's like, you know, hundreds of likes and lots of comments mentioning him and sort of making fun of him and all that stuff. But you know, like you know, this kind of what we're dealing with. You know, it's easy to forget in the midst of all this like scaling drama and forks and all that stuff. There's a lot of people like him around that don't know what the hell they're talking about. That think they know way better than, you know, what you know, what the market's telling them. And you know, they sort of say stuff like that and think they're scoring points or something. Anyway, oh, we are joined by Tone Vays. I don't know if his mic is working yet, but Tone, if you can say hello.
Hey guys, am I working?
Yeah, it's working. All right, good stuff, man.
All right, sweet.
So I'm just sort of on the air to see what's going on with Bitcoin Cash. They are forking in one more block. Unfortunately, their profitability is so low, nobody's really, or there isn't that much mining power going over into it. So they're mining a block maybe every half hour right now. So what do you make of Bitcoin Cash's new difficulty adjustment hard fork?
I don't know what to make of it. I didn't know what was happening. Like I've been paying more attention to Bitcoin, to be honest with you. I mean, people are really, I mean, I try to cater to my audience mostly, and a lot of them are complaining that, you know, giving so much airtime to Bitcoin Cash is helping Bitcoin Cash, and I shouldn't even be calling it Bitcoin Cash, right? So I'm not sure that we're helping by continuously talking about it, but I will say this. I mean, I know that their proponents constantly, you know, yell at Core for not doing what needs to be done. But everything I see coming out of that camp makes it look like the most centralized currency on the planet, even more so than the US dollar or any other centrally planned currency, right? Like I'm not sure what is actually decentralized about Bitcoin Cash, starting with this hard fork. I mean, if it's easy to hard fork your coin, what is it?
Yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, okay, if they hard fork to a 42 million limit, like, would they do anything? I don't
Yeah,
know.
oh, before we get there,
Uh-huh.
like, you don't. Why do you need a hard fork to go to a 42 limit? Can't isn't it? Can't you soft fork that?
I don't think so. You need a hard fork to enforce the block reward rules.
Oh, you do. You
Yeah.
can't just extend it.
No. No.
Oh, okay, I got you. I got you. Because I was gonna say, because if you can soft fork that, how
Mhm.
would anybody know that it's happened? Because no one there is checking the code. Who's writing the code? Who is hard forking? Who is responsible for the hard fork code? Who wrote it?
So there's a guy named Dedalnix. He's the main developer for Bitcoin ABC that did it.
Is he
And
an
I did
anonymous?
show this earlier, but basically there's this review that they did. This is on the Bitcoin ABC website. They tested like 3 different difficulty adjustment algorithms. And the reviewers, it says, are Neil, Q, Upichan, Manjarian, Anthony Zegers, and Shancel, Shama Chancellor.
Are you familiar with any of their work prior to looking at their pictures now?
I think I may have seen an article or two from Manjarian on Medium, but I didn't even know he was a developer actually. But yeah, there's.
Well, they
I
listed.
obviously met
I
Dedalnik.
mean, look, Bitcoin Unlimited listed Bitcoin Errorlog as a developer, and I think he just fixed a spelling error in their code.
But yeah, here, I mean, I did point out this one thing that, Tone, you might think was hilarious. It says copyright 2017, the Bitcoin developers, and right above that is copyright 2009 to 2016, the Bitcoin core developers. So they really are taking sort of the Bitcoin name and saying that they are the true Bitcoin, I think, or that's at least how they seem to be viewing themselves.
Well, I mean, that's obvious, right? I mean, I don't know if you saw my Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just do a quick screen share maybe for you. Application. Yeah, I think it was this one. Yeah, well, like, I go to my Twitter. Oh man, like, is your Twitter blowing up lately like mine?
Yeah, I mean, every day I get if I'm away for an hour, I have like 100 notifications or something. It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't know. Like, someone just tweeted this at me today.
That looks awesome.
Like, they got flyers out, and then, like, other than it saying the word cash, I mean, like, all you have to do is cross out the word cash and change the links, and it's Bitcoin, right? I mean, this is, I mean, everything described, like talking about Satoshi and like, well, like they're basically selling a scam under the Bitcoin logo.
Yeah, I don't know what they're I mean, really, like, how many people are gonna see this like telephone poll? I don't. What's the point? I don't really get it.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, if you pay a bunch of homeless people to go promote your shit, they're gonna go and promote your shit. Like this, you don't
Oh,
even have to pay them much.
I guess not. I guess not.
I mean, I mean, who besides there's like 5 people out there with significant like with significant numbers on their Twitters that are supporting Bitcoin Cash. Everybody else is like anonymous handles that have been around for years and have like 80 followers. Like, come on. Come on.
Yeah, I haven't looked into who's tweeting what, but I mean, I certainly got a lot of grief over this morning's article that I wrote on the on Medium. That seems to have triggered quite a few people. But yeah, um, it's we're sort of still waiting. It doesn't look like that many miners are that interested in Bitcoin Cash at the moment. Probably because it's like 160% less profitable than the original chain. I mean, it's 160% more profitable to mine on the
What's
original.
the what was I going to say? So how is anyone driving the Bitcoin Cash Classic movement yet?
No, I don't think anyone has, or at least I haven't heard of it. But part of the curiosity of this particular live stream is finding out if there are any people that are interested in running a Bitcoin Cash Classic, right? Like, what would you do?
What was that website that I used to go to for like Bitcoin like folklore or something
Fork.lol, yeah.
what was it? Mhm.
Fork.lol.
Oh, I got it. Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while. That's the
But I
one
mean,
that shows you.
that was the major happening over the weekend, was that a lot of miners went over to Bitcoin Cash because it was just so much more profitable. And then they,
Well, yeah, I mean, like, look, that's the thing. It's such a centrally planned initiative, right? I mean, the moment Bcash gets canceled, sorry, the moment 2x gets canceled, they immediately spam the shit out of the Bitcoin network, start screaming how it's not usable, even though a month earlier nobody was using it to begin with, right? I was clearly remember we were doing those videos, the morning shows, and I kept pointing how the Bitcoin mempool is continuously empty and it's worrying the shit out of me because it proves no one uses Bitcoin.
yeah, that's long past. I don't know if you've looked at like the mempool lately, but
No,
it's
but it's all spam, right? It's all spam. I mean, now that the miners are going to come back to Bitcoin and spam has just become expensive on Bitcoin, watch, in a few weeks, we're going to go back to having a mempool under 1 megabyte. Like, and once again, I'm like nervous. Like, the actual usage of Bitcoin is so small, and all of the price, Bitcoin's value is 98% dependent on speculation and long-term holding. And those people can be spooked.
You think so? I don't know. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think hodlers, they like to hodl. So
They like to hodl until they see a 50% correction and everyone is screaming it's going to zero, right? I mean that
I guess we'll see. I mean, that was part of my my article this morning on Medium about the SegWit 2x postmortem. It was a divorce between crypto Austrians and crypto Keynesians. But I don't know. I personally would think that a lot of the people that are holding now, they're kind of used to this level of volatility now.
no, so many new people came in. They're not ready for any of this. I mean, you and I sat through the 15-month bear market. Nobody else has.
Yeah, I suppose that's right. But I mean, I imagine a vast majority of the wealth is actually still held by the longtime holders, no?
The majority, sure, but okay, I found it. Oh wait, where is the? Hold on a second here. I'm on their site. Is it in reward? Fees. Where's inflation? Oh, here it is. Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, let me do screen share again.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. And then I'll talk about the panics and fears and bear markets and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So all right. So their inflation is 0. They haven't mined anything. Jesus Christ.
Well, they haven't mined much in the last little bit.
Oh, I can't adjust the dates here,
No,
unfortunately.
unfortunately. But I mean, you can see that the inflation's pretty high. Yeah, and
Right.
this is one of the concerns, is that they'll run out of mining reward much faster than Bitcoin. So, how does that affect it long term? It seems very much short term gain to get just a few more blocks faster from miners in order to sacrifice sort of the long term you know, scarce or long-term viability of the coin.
What's their so what is the new plan? Which genius centrally planned economic formula for difficulty readjustment did they come up with?
It's like a moving average of the last day or so, and it can move up by double and move down by half on every block, something like that. And I think they use something like median time pass. I'm not entirely certain of the details. I have to like really go into the code and like look up what all the variables mean and stuff. But that's my current sort of you know, analysis of the situation. We'll see. I'm gonna have to go read it and maybe publish an article later today.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let me go back to the chart for people. Well, for me, I mean, it looks like it's still on my screen, but yeah. So there you go. So the dotted line is inflation, the inflation rate, and the blue line is like the total amount of Bitcoin, and sorry, the Bitcoin Cash on the blue, and Bitcoin is in orange. I mean, this shit is messing with like Bitcoin's inflation rate a little bit. I mean, it's still kind of steady, but it's making Bitcoin volatile. Now, what it does is, look, it's just coordinated attacks, right? Because they know when their coin starts to be insta-mined. So as their coin starts to get insta-mined, they know when the miners that only care about profit are leaving Bitcoin for Bcash. So that is the perfect time for them to spam the Bitcoin network, kind of creating, you know, this like double punch, and then starting their media campaigns against how unusable and how expensive Bitcoin is. Now,
So Tone, so check out what happened. So we had the Bitcoin Cash hard fork actually happen. They found another block, and it's Bitcoin Cash Network has now been upgraded to support the new difficulty algorithm. And guess what happened to the price? It's been dumping in the last 6 minutes. So it went all the way from 0.22 all the way down to 0.18. I'm not sure why that would be. I mean, I guess we can speculate and ask. So Tone, what do you think would be causing Bitcoin Cash to dump so suddenly once the hard
that's
fork
very
happened?
easy, because it's not suddenly, right? Because when the Bitcoin Cash price went up that much, I mean, there were multiple reasons for this, right? I mean, it was a coordinated, centralized effort to do this. And the spamming of the Bitcoin mempool served multiple purposes. The biggest one of which make it very difficult for people to get their Bcash out, and move them over to exchanges and sell it and dump it on the market. Because remember, Coinbase is getting very, very close to separating the Bcash. I think Barry Silbert and the Bitcoin Trust is also very close to separating the Bcash. So there's a lot of big operations that are getting very, very close to separating the Bcash. So if anything, this was a chance for all of the Bcash central planners to get out of Bcash themselves for a really good value. So now what we're going to see is the reason why you're seeing Bcash dumping, and I know this is happening for a fact because it's in my email box, because people have been complaining that because of the Bitcoin spam, it was difficult for them to sell the Bcash because they were too lazy to do it prior. So now, so people have initiated a bunch of conversions in those that haven't sold their Bcash yet are now trying to sell it. And now that that Bcash has no mining on it again, and the Bitcoin mempool is already 50% less than it was yesterday, and the Bitcoin mempool is getting cleaned up, a lot of those transactions are transactions of people looking to sell their Bcash because they didn't get a chance to, you know, on round one. So this is their round two.
Okay, all right. So we've had like 2 blocks found in the last 5 minutes. I'm just going to take a look at the difficulty over the last.
Where are you? Well, what's that other one? The dance, the Bcash dance? What's that other one?
Cash.coin.dance. Cash.coin.dance.
Coin.
All right, so it looks like difficulty, the last block before the new difficulty algorithm was at 522 billion. And then here, let me share the screen so people can see what I'm doing. And then this is on Blockdozer. The first block found afterwards was 190 billion. Huh, that's more than a 2x.
I'm more interested in who's finding these blocks and how many transactions they have.
Currently, I think I don't think the last two had very much, but let's take a look. Cash.coin.dance. Let's take a look at the blocks. So yeah, it was unknown and then BTC. Oh, unknown, BTC top. So, oh boy, they're being found really close together. So let's reload Blockdozer because something is wrong with it. It was 190 billion, and now this is 189 billion, and then this one is. So it went from like 500, so maybe my 2x thing was wrong. And this one's also 190 billion. So I think it's relatively easy because they're going over the past 144 blocks or something like that. And it took way over a day to do that. So it's going to be interesting. It is current. Yeah, so here is the statistics. Says it is 11%, about 11% more profitable to mine on Bitcoin Cash right now because of the new difficulty adjustment algorithm as a result of the hard fork. But that doesn't take into account fees, which are pretty large on Bitcoin right now. So I'm sure Bitcoin is more.
Hey, so let me ask you this question. Like, I know none of their users are running their own nodes. I know it's all like central nodes, but if a user was like validating their own transactions with their own node, I mean, God help them. But if they are, I mean, they were supposed to upgrade, right? Like, what happens? Are they not are they rejecting any transactions?
Yeah. So if they did sort of not upgrade, then they'd just be stuck at 3 blocks prior, which I think is what block number was it? It was. I think whatever block this was. I think it's 504031. They would have just sort of stalled out at that, and they wouldn't have. They would have rejected 332, 3334, and they would just sort of be waiting. I guess until whenever somebody comes along, and if somebody sort of mines on the old chain with the old difficulty, then they might accept it. And which would create a Bitcoin Cash Classic, but they're just sort of stuck. They have to go upgrade, or else.
So how does this work? Like, well, I mean, I dumped all of my Bcash. I don't know if you have, right? But if you haven't dumped your Bcash yet, I mean, does anything change? Do you have to make sure you download a different client? Because if
you probably don't have to download a different client unless you want to sort of. Like if you've done transactions more recently or after the hard fork, then you're going to definitely need like a new client in order to be able to, see what you've done and stuff like that. But if you're just sort of dumping, what you need to do is just create the transaction, post it, broadcast it to the Bitcoin Cash network, and then it will go wherever it is that you want it to go, which presumably is an exchange or something. And at that point, you can dump it and then get back Bitcoin or, US dollars or whatever. But yeah, it does look like, the hard fork seems to have gone smoothly. I'm going to check Twitter to see if anybody reports new blocks being found on the old chain, which would be like a Bitcoin Cash Classic. I haven't seen any reports, and I wouldn't expect one for a long time because it's difficult enough that it would take like a solo miner like a day to go find a block on top of 504031 that's different than 504032 because that would have a different difficulty. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that works, but it does seem like something, Yeah, I mean, it does look like the sudden difficulty adjustment based on the past 144 blocks or whatever it is that Bitcoin Cash uses makes it more profitable, at least nominally, to mine on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And I imagine that because this new difficulty algorithm adjusts very quickly, it adjusts on a block-to-block basis. That it will more closely reflect the price. And right now, Bitcoin Cash is trading at around 0.2 of Bitcoin. So you can get like if you didn't sell any of your Bitcoin Cash, you could get a nice 20% increase to your stack. But it's certainly very interesting because it looks like hash power will follow price much more than price will follow hash power. Because the hash power adjusts pretty quickly. Yeah. Anyway,
right. Well, I want to get. Hey, here's another thing. I mean, I saw I didn't really read the article, but was that whole thing about Rick Falkling being the CEO of Bitcoin? Was that a troll, or did he actually write that? Like was that written?
He did write it. He did write it, but it was apparently meant in jest, as far as I could tell. Like he was just sort of joking around.
Is that another coordinated effort? Like Vitalik Buterin is joking about hiring protocol censorers when I know he's a censorer. Bcash is talking about centrally having a CEO of their shitcoin when I know it's a central shitcoin that already has a CEO. Like, is this the new trend? Like, pretend that you are something that you are in order to show people that you're not? Like what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember like those SNL skits where they'd have an actor and they would have another actor imitate that actor? So like they would have Jim Carrey on as like some other like James Cagney or something, and then they'd have another actor pretend he's Jim Carrey, and then Jim Carrey himself playing another actor would imitate the other guy imitating him. It feels a little bit like that, what you're describing.
Right. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like I kind of joke about that stuff too sometimes, but it's obvious when it's a joke, right? like, when people complain that they lost money based on my trading advice, I just tell them to stop listening to my trading advice because it's free, right? And it's not even trading advice, right? So I mean, but when it comes to like these things, it's like they're becoming the thing that they're complained about in the traditional markets.
To some degree, yes. It does seem like they're doing something a little, a bit against
what they're doing. It's like a parody of itself.
Yeah. It's we're rapidly sort of converging to a place where you can't really tell what's parody and what's not. But
right. They all seem to congratulating each other. Vitalik congratulating the Bcash team. Bcash team is congratulating Vitalik. I mean, why don't they just hire him?
I don't know. I mean, the thing that like kind of gets me about Bitcoin Cash is how many people are sort of retweeting Craig Wright. That to me is just like, you've just completely made yourself not credible by retweeting Craig Wright. I don't care what he says. The first thing I think of Craig Wright is scammer. And right. He might say something completely intelligible. I don't know, but I'm not going to read it because it's from Craig Wright, and most likely he's trying to trick you into believing something else.
Right. I mean, I didn't read the Rick Falkling "I'm the CEO of Bitcoin" paper because it was longer than the Bitcoin white paper. like, come on, guys. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, you probably used to reading this kind of stuff. I don't.
Well, I don't. Ever since I started writing articles, I have less patience for reading other people's articles. Kind of like ever since I started producing videos, I have less patience for watching other people's videos. Something about this producing dynamic. If you tend more towards one, you do less of the other.
I agree. I mean, it's also because you have so much time in a day. Like now that I'm doing all of this charting, and now that I'm doing public technical analysis, I haven't seen a single other, like I used to look at other people do this stuff for years. But now, ever since I started doing it, I mean, I don't look at a single blogger that I used to read.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's I mean, the content has to be pretty good to get to the time slots that I have for that sort of thing. I want to show our viewers this this thing. I guess
John,
they messed up on the actual difficulty adjustment algorithm, and they are currently in the middle of improving this page. This is cash.coin.dance/blocks. So we're kind of at a loss as to how that's going. I guess we can still look at Blockdozer or Blockchair. I like Blockdozer a little better, just because they I don't know, they show us sort of the latest thing. So they did find another block. Let's see what the difficulty is. It's still 190 billion. And depending on like the profitability and stuff, I think I would guess this goes down whenever it's not profitable. It goes up when it is. So it's on a block by block basis, and other coins have tried doing this before in the past.
Did it work?
I mean, they're still around, so I guess so. I'm not sure, but Ethereum might do that. I forget exactly, but they it's kind of interesting that they decided to go this route. I can tell you that EDA had some serious problems. I won't get into exactly what.
What's the EDA?
Emergency difficulty adjustment. That's what they used to have in lieu of the new difficulty adjustment algorithm. This was the one where if you found less than 6 blocks every 12 hours, then the difficulty would go down by up to 25%, and then per block. So it ended up just sort of like nobody would find blocks for 12 hours, and then people would start mining, and then it would get really, really easy, and then they'd code through 2016 blocks in like a day or something.
Well, that's what it's been until 15 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So they replaced the EDA with this new difficulty adjustment algorithm. But yeah, I'm not entirely clear on what the algorithm is. I mean, the code is there. I'm just
gonna wait for like some major bug in the code. I mean, come on, it's sooner or later, this shit is gonna blow up, and they're gonna have this giant page saying we are working on fixing our blockchain while it's down. Just wait. I mean,
yeah, I guess we'll see. But here's the actual code. Maybe I should take a look at this right now. All right, get next cache work required. Yeah, that's probably the next difficulty or target or something. All right, compute target. It's based on let's see, the first pointer and the last pointer and some parameters. Assert that the height is great, last is great. Yeah, of course. Whatever the last one is greater than the first one. It says work is the chain work of the last one versus the first one. Subtract those and get whatever this NPOW target spacing is. I think that's supposed to be 10 minutes. I'm not sure.
Let me know if you see any assert zero statements in there.
It's definitely not in there. And if you didn't catch assert zero in a code review, then you're a terrible code reviewer. All right. So let's see. N actual time span. So it's looking at the last one, subtracting the first one. Great. And if the N actual time span is greater than 288, then oh, I see. So the time span is how many units it's supposed to take. So it's about 10 minutes. So 288, I think, is 2 days. So they're capping the N actual time span at 2 days, and they're flooring the N actual time span at 72, which is half a day. So 12 to 48 hours, something like that. Work divided equals actual time span. So however long it actually took, they're taking the work difference between the last one that was found and the first one that was found in this period, and I have to figure out exactly when that happened. And they're dividing by the actual time span. So it's just sort of how much work is required on a per block basis over the last however long it was. It's capped at 2 days and floored at half a day. we need to compute t equals 2 to the 256 divided by w minus 1, but 2 to the 256 doesn't fit into 256 bits. By expressing 1 as w over w, we can compute as a complement of w. All right, fine. Gosh, I have to remember how to do 2's complements or something. All right. Anyway, get suitable block, assert that the height is greater than or equal to 3. And oh yeah, this is the one. All of this code is to find the middle one. And then the next one is get next cache work required. This is the main thing. Let's see, special difficulty rule for testnet. So we don't follow fpal allow min difficulty blocks. That's only enabled for testnet, so this won't go through for mainnet. Compute the difficulty based on the full adjustment interval. Nice. There's a spelling mistake here. I should put in a pull request.
Oh, dude, fix a spelling mistake. Get your name as a core developer of Btrash.
Yeah, adjustment. I should totally put. Watch, somebody that's watching this is gonna put in a pull request before I get to it. All right, and the height is the current height, sure, or yeah, and n height is greater than difficulty adjustment interval. I'm going to guess the difficulty adjustment interval is, oh, I see. It's 2016 before, but I think this is greater than. It's just making sure that you have enough blocks to actually take a look. P index last is the middle of the last 3 blocks. And then n height first is n height minus 144. So it's 144 blocks back. It looks at P index first. It looks at get suitable block at P index first, finds the middle one of those. Compute the target based on time and work done during the interval. Next target is compute target, P index first, P index last param. So it looks like it's looking at the last 144 blocks, see how long it took, and adjust the work based on that. So if it took more than 2 days, then it caps it at 2 days, so it'll change the difficulty appropriately. If it took less than 12 hours, then it will adjust it appropriately. I'm going to have to find the thing that I skipped, of course. This is a rule of coding. Whatever you don't understand is going to be probably the next thing that you're going to need to understand. If you try to skip something in a code review, you almost always end up finding that you need to understand it anyway. So anyway, that seems to be the key here. You take the last 144 blocks, and then figure out however long it took, and then you calculate this work thing, which is and then divided by the actual time spent. So if it took if it took a day for 144 blocks, then nothing changes, which makes sense because you're supposed to find 144 blocks every day based on a 10-minute block interval. But if it took longer or shorter, then you have to do this weird calculating thing where you do negative work divided by work. Gosh, what the hell does that mean? I'm going to have to go figure that out in a minute. But yeah, most of this other stuff, oh, I see they, I think this was an off by 1 error that existed in Bitcoin. It wasn't actually like the last 2016 blocks. It was looking at like 2015. I think they fixed that right there. End chain work, sure. That's like the amount of work there, and here are the tests. So I'm gonna have to figure out what the hell this means. This is the part that I'm not exactly sure, but it does look like it's looking at 144 blocks and figuring out how long they took and adjusting work accordingly. I think I'm guessing proportionally to how long it took. If it took longer, then difficulty gets easier. If it took shorter, difficulty gets harder, etc. But yeah, that's my quick review of their stuff. I mean, a normal code review would take significantly longer. I'm only doing this very quickly because I wanted to take a look at it. But anyway, yeah. So I don't. Let's take a look at the block dozer to see how many more blocks have been found. It looks like nothing's been found since then. So I'm guessing that coin.dance didn't calculate, which one's more profitable. Okay, all right. So coin.dance is back. Yeah. So let's take a look here.
Were they looking at the wrong blocks and they had to
No, they were. I'm guessing they were calculating this wrong. It is currently 0.5% more profitable to mine on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain.
Yeah, but
It,
now this thing is gonna adjust with like every single block now.
yep, it is, and you, and this is where miners are going to have like a more thorough and algorithm. I think right now they just sort of switch manually. It's like, oh, go to Bitcoin Cash now, go back because it didn't occur that often, and you didn't need to press that button very often. Now you might have to press that button every block, depending on how long that last block took. So yeah, we're in this weird situation where Bitcoin Cash is is now sort of going to very quickly get to a point where it's at equilibrium with Bitcoin in terms of hashing power, and just the right amount of hashing power should be on there constantly with this new difficulty algorithm. But we'll see, and if there are any spikes in price, what we should expect is a lot of miners to go back on Bitcoin Cash, but then it adjusts back really quickly. So you're sort of at an equilibrium very quick. But it's possible. So right now, Bitcoin Cash is like at 0.2 Bitcoin. So we can expect about 20% of the total hashing power to be on Bitcoin Cash, and about 80% to be on Bitcoin. So price and hash power will be highly correlated. And whether one follows the other is sort of a question that I leave to you guys. But that's I don't know. I mean, at a certain point, Tone, do you think Bitcoin Cash changes their proof of work?
That's a good question. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
Mm,
Mostly because the goal is to steal Bitcoin hash rate, right?
mm,
So they um, see these guys don't care if they fail, right? Because like people like me have sold all of my Bcash, right? So, but I mean, they don't care about. They just want money, right? So they have a bunch of Bitcoin and they have a bunch of Bcash, right? So they're not like fully invested in their scam. They're only partially invested in their scam. But the miners want everybody over. So
mm,
based on that, it's not in anyone's best interest on that side. I mean, because remember, their goal is to destroy Bitcoin first, in order for them to get rich. And if they change proof of work, then they have to compete even more against Bitcoin, right?
mm.
And they can't compete against Bitcoin because they don't have anyone competent developing their code, and they have centralized mining. So their only advantage is to make Bitcoin more disruptive and try to, and Bitmain thinks they're more powerful than they are, getting all the miners on their side. So no, I actually do not see them changing proof of work.
And do you think Roger is dumping all of his Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash? Is that what's
No,
happening?
no,
No.
I highly doubt that. I think it would be a much more effective and efficient use of his Bitcoin to just continue to astroturf and pay people to promote and put up flyers and get other people involved in the scam versus versus actually selling his Bitcoin position.
Yeah, I mean, it's I really wonder where all this money is coming from because that is a lot of money that like this tremendous amount of volume. There's a lot of
Not that it can't be that much volume. I mean, look, the majority of Bcash was never like if you think Bitcoin is centralized in the hands of a few people. I mean, and if I mean, look, if I had to do a ballpark number, I would say maybe 15% of all Bitcoin is circulating on exchanges.
mm,
Everything else is in cold storage.
yeah.
Now, that means that maybe what 2% of all Bcash, 3% of all Bcash is on exchanges. So there isn't that much Bitcoin there to go around.
So you think it's just trading back and forth, a lot of that volume? Because I believe Bitcoin Cash exceeded the volume of Bitcoin at one point over the weekend.
Well, yeah, it's just trading back and forth, right? But I mean, what do you mean? But how do you define volume, right?
This was on Bitcoin Coin Market Cap in terms of US dollars.
Right, but again, how do you define that, right? Because if it's being
This is exchange volume. Sorry.
right, because if because remember, Bcash can be traded directly for Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how are they calculating that, right? Because if they're calculating Bitcoin, because Bcash is being sold for Bitcoin, then I'm not sure how they're calculating it. But yeah, people are trading it, right? Because it was no one really cares about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Cash. Yeah. Well, so here's the volume charts. You got 6.8 billion for Bitcoin and 5 billion for Bitcoin Cash. And it was more or less the reverse a few days ago. And at one point, Bitcoin Cash was actually above Ethereum, so it was the #2 coin. And I'm still surprised to see.
But so was Aurora coin, right? I mean, I got a screenshot where Aurora coin is the second highest altcoin by market cap behind Bitcoin, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
because they had like very little float. They had
well, again, right? So same thing with Bcash, right? I mean,
mhm.
the majority of Bcash was never converted into Bcash. It's still sitting there with Bitcoin.
Although with the prices, wouldn't you think people would be motivated to get it out of there, just to
Well,
get rid
it's
of it?
not really an option. It's not really a choice, right? Like Coinbase still hasn't given it to them.
Yeah, that might be true. All right. So anyway, yeah, it does look like there haven't been really any blocks for almost 20 minutes. Oh no, we did. This site doesn't update automatically. So let's take a look at the difficulty. Yeah, it's sticking around the 190 billion. I don't even know if this difficulty is correct, but that's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's getting a little bit easier because CoinDance says it's a slightly more profitable to mine on Bitcoin Cash than Bitcoin, but with the fees the way they are on Bitcoin, I imagine it's more profitable for any miner to mine Bitcoin instead at the moment. But you can expect this to sort of fluctuate and find some sort of equilibrium were price to stay static, but price is obviously not staying static. It's also going up and down. So you can sort of expect hash rate to maybe trail price just a little bit.
Right, and I'm looking at the Bitcoin mempool. It's at 23 megabytes, and yesterday it was at like 50 something, right? So
yeah, I mean,
we've already chewed more than 50% of the backlog in 12 to 24 hours, and within 24 hours, Bitcoin mempool should be back to normal.
I don't know about 24 hours. I mean, this look at the mountain over here. Like this is a big mountain. We're back up here. Normal is maybe down here. That's maybe at least a few days away. But I do agree that we will get there. It's just going to take some time. And given that, my gut feeling now is that I think Bitcoin Cash did the right thing. They changed the emergency difficulty adjustment to a new difficulty adjustment algorithm, and that's going to more closely reflect price as we go forward. And I think that's more of a fair fight, right? Like you have both chains that are roughly equal in probability. You make miners choose based on sort of what they're more philosophically aligned.
But it's not a fair fight because no one in Bitcoin is spamming their blockchain, making it unusable when they are clearly spamming the Bitcoin blockchain.
Which is odd because I think it's a lot easier to spam the Bitcoin Cash blockchain because
no one gives a shit about spamming their chain though.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. By the way, here's a very interesting block that I saw. Via BTC went right up to the 8 megabyte limit. 7.998 megabytes. That's really, really close. That's the largest block that I've ever seen on Bitcoin Cash.
All right, can you go back? Can you go back to that block?
Yeah, it's via BTC.
Like, I don't understand. Like I'm confused, right? How come all the blocks around it are significantly smaller?
Let's see. So there was 2 hours before that, and Antpool mined 900K. I'm going to guess that they didn't mine everything in the mempool, and they were building up over the past 3 hours, and via BTC took all of them, and just wanted to make sure they did that. Some other things,
but
Mhm.
if you look after that, right? They mined like 3 or 4 blocks in 3 or 4 hours.
And
all of them were pretty damn small.
Well, there's like 1.5 megs, 1.5 megs.
Right. So this is telling me that there were actually, a bunch of transactions during that hour, because the next 3 blocks were mined 1 hour each, and 2 of them were not even a meg.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's possible via BTC just wanted to test out the 8 megabyte thing and just spam themselves, or maybe they're storing a bunch of data. I don't know. I will note that BTC.top, they clearly haven't adjusted for the fact that they're mining Bitcoin Cash, because they're signaling for the New York agreement in their Coinbase.
I know, and this was the dumb statement that 90% of miners are signaling for the New York. What have we been telling them? Like it's signaling. No one cares.
Nobody really cares. Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly haven't adjusted their stuff, because it's like in every block that they've mined. Yeah, I mean, I think they've set their Coinbase, string, and then they just kind of forgot about it. At least that's the way it looks like to me. At least they're not actually signaling in the version bits. But somebody at BTC Top, please go and fix this, because it's pretty embarrassing. It makes you look pretty unprofessional.
Really? That's embarrassing. Not the fact that they're mining Bcash. Really, that's the part that's embarrassing.
I mean, I think there's a case to be made. If you're going to make more money, then you mine this side. But as a mining pool, that makes perfect sense. They need to make back that money, right? They don't care who they sell to, and really, you can think of blockchains as customers of mining hash power. All right, so yeah, I mean, it looks like it went off relatively without a hitch. I haven't seen anything on Twitter about there being a second Bitcoin Cash Classic or anything like that. But then again, I would imagine the hash rate for a Bitcoin Cash Classic to be overly large, so it would take I don't know, a day for a small miner to get in. So we probably won't find that out until, I don't know, tomorrow or the next day or something like that, if it happens. But for all intents and purposes, it does look like Bitcoin Cash's hard fork went through without too much trouble. So, take that as you will. Either that's evidence that it's way too centralized, or evidence that, they're working well. I don't know.
It's a well-oiled, decentralized machine they got over there.
So anyway, I wanna thank everybody for joining us. I'd like to thank the 769 live viewers.
Thanks,
I've
guys.
never had that many. Tone, any last words before I sign off?
No, that's it. I don't have the live chat. People complain about me not talking about the price.
Nothing too much. I mean, there are people commenting, but I don't have super chat yet because it's a new channel.
Oh, so yeah, that's right. You're not monetized yet. It's all good.
No. Yeah, it's all good.
Hey guys, I'll probably do another pricing thing tomorrow or Wednesday. Just watch my last video. Nothing's changed. I mean, yeah, it's a nice bounce in the price of Bitcoin, but it's still within the norms of a move to 5,000. If I see something, I'll tell you.
And your prediction was that the bottom will be in around November 17th or 18th.
Yeah, so my prediction was November 17th, 18th at around 5,000. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a prediction. That's just like my highest probability outcome.
Okay, so that's if you think of sort of a probability scenario, I think the peak is sort of normally distributed around November 17th, 18th, something like that. All right. Anyway, yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. And this song is done.